Good morning. Well, looks like sellers continue to take every opportunity to get out at better prices. It's well, better than what they were at the low anyway, not better than they were a few days ago. So where will it end? Well, we just factory work. Where's the next level of support? Looking at the S&Ps here, it's like we would anything else. The routine. Big wide range bar. Look at the half of it, the middle part. As intraday traders, we can look inside that bar and see if there's anything actually in there as any resistance. But just as a general rule of thumb, halfway of a wide range bar is something that you want to see prices stay below, with a big bearish one to stay in the bottom half. Tails can get above, but we want to see the bodies at the bottom. That shows continual weakness. Whereas it opens down there, and whatever it does intraday, it winds up closing down there. And that's happened now. So we're starting a new day. That's an inside day so far, the whole range. But, we'll see where that goes. The story there, just the beginning of the day. So yesterday, prices rallied, and, as they fell early morning, buyers stepped up, pushed it up, and then down it went again. So we'll see. It's Friday. Maybe it's a go nowhere day. We shall see. See if it stays here. But if for some reason buyers wanted to step up and they can close it deep into the red bar, that would lead me to start thinking that we have a low in place. In any event, I think we're close to a low. Maybe we need another spike down. We'll see. This pivot low is right down here. And if it goes out this week, at the bottom here, and you can see the weekly chart here, red. It's at the 20. There's a little bit there, which is this area right here. That's to the left of the 20 MA on the weekly chart. And so if you can't get anything going today, maybe traders just want to wait for Monday. But ultimately, maybe the 200 MA is going to be where it goes. We'll see. Right now, obviously we had the break. We had a little bit of a rally, a lower high, a little bit of a momentum move. Yesterday was an opportunity to get things turned around in the area of the prior bottoming tail bar there, and they couldn't do it. And so now going into today, well, let's scrunch this up, get a little more data here. And we can see, well, let's do this. Sometimes I do this just to compress the data so that I intraday, so I can see something with a little bit more clarity. And it really doesn't help all that much, does it? Well, maybe a little. So it's trying to perk up here. It's in a downtrend. If we can hold just, for today, if this turns into a spike down to here, I'll be watching to see if it can hold and turn around, and maybe we get a day trade going. But if it doesn't hold, well, then 3,200 looks like, inevitable. The pivot is down here, but, you've got the whole number. So I would think you'd have to be careful. Well, there's 3,200 right there. It was down there. Interesting. Why does that not show? I guess that's close enough. If we X-rayed it, we'd see that it was almost there. Anyway, a retest of that level, if it was to come straight down, maybe we see some buyers pick up. So, I'll wait and see. Yes, chop day yesterday, as it turned out, with a small candle body. We'll see if anything can get going here today. I think buyers would want to see it down here to pick it up. Otherwise, if it just comes up into this level from this bottoming tail bar here, there's going to be sellers, and then we wait to see if it turns right back down. If it comes up here, and start jiggling around, I'm going to view that as, again, as it starts to turn lower, should that happen, as it's kind of filled the tank to coming up to this area that'll break down through this low. So, right now we're just caught in the middle of two reference points, and this is a 180-minute chart, which is basically really condensing, those days there. There's the wide range bars. It came down, and so, yesterday and this morning so far, the overnight trading is just jiggling around down here. So we've got a little bit of a trading range. So it's a wait and see. If it can get above here, well, that's where we could get the green day coming up to the prior high. And if it just keeps going sideways, it's going to open up the door to going lower. Roxanne, in case we tank, can you share when you're shorting ES? Yes, if I typically do that. If I short ES, I might short the NQs since they were stronger. They may have more potential to fall. A lot of times that's the case. When markets get weak, the stronger one falls more because having been stronger, it creates a bigger void. So this actually looks a little bit better than the S&P, right? It has been showing some relative strength. So, very nice looking bottoming tail bar. It retested down there and came up, but it couldn't push deeply and close deeply into the red bar. So somewhat different, a little bit of strength, but still no big positive close into the red bar. We shall see. You can see the trading range going on over here. So, neutral market here this morning to see which way things might go. You can see the simplicity of just looking to the left. Prices come up to resistance, sideways, 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 begins to fall. It comes down to a pivot to the left. And I reinforce this almost every single day, especially for those of you that are connecting Fibonacci things, highs to lows and symmetry and this high to that low and all of that hocus pocus. You don't need it. And if you want to be objective and kind of like question whatever you're using, just look to the left of wherever you see your miraculously mystery lines lined up at a turn. It's going to be right at some swing low or congestion 99% of the time. Okay. All right. So Qs showing a little bit of relative strength, but overall, nothing of significance. YM. Well, same thing, not as strong as the Qs. Down at the bottom of the range, buyers stepped up there. Of course, it was a prior low. That's what they do. And if it hangs down here and it cannot rally, well, then we look for it to go lower. And I says, well, lower to where? Look to the left. There's a pivot low down there. There's a 200-day moving average. That looks like a pretty obvious place where it would go to. So YM may be the better one to short versus the ES. Go back and look at that. Yeah, I think so. That's got the swing low relatively close. But if they're both going down, obviously you can do them both if you want to. Now this has nothing. Right. Swings down here. Unfilled gap is where it came down to. And same story, up, down, small candle body yesterday. So far today, traders are just kind of, okay, what are we going to do here today? Inside day so far, running in place. And bonds up a little bit, but still within that trading range that it's been in now for about a month. Kind of beginning to take on the look of a bear flag. Now, we'll see where this week ends, but, bear flag is nothing more than trying to make some higher low bars as it grinds up into the bearish prior move down. And then wait to see if it breaks. It takes it down here. Crude oil is jiggling around over here. Not interested in that. Gold, well, just couldn't hold the bottom of the base. So now we've got this big red bar on the weekly, which suggests it's going to go down here. But sometimes we get shakeouts. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but if we do, that would be bullish in alignment with, the weekly is in an uptrend, even though it failed to hold here. I know the monthly is. And so, this is still consolidating the gain and chopping around. So we'll see whether it has to come down here or, whether it goes back up. So this is not as big a move as we saw in crude oil when it fell, but it's like a mini move, meaning that you can see the sharp move down. And this could become a continuation pattern, but you need a correction bar. You need an attempt to go up that fails and comes back in again. And I said this, I told you in crude oil, this is a dangerous kind of a pattern to go short. It looks convincing because of the way it came down so hard. But unless you get a correction bar as a continuation pattern, many times they'll do exactly what this did. So then you're saying, well, what's a correction bar? Well, something like this that would have it took out the highs, and then it turns into a topping tail. It tells you that there's a lot of supply and sellers are aggressive. Or it could just be a green bar ignored, where the next day could have been a big red bar down. That's the kind of pattern you can short after a big move like that. And so that's just one of the patterns that we look at. And now we've got one of these little mini momentum drops with little bars in gold. So it could be a same situation. If it gets above this high, it starts to rally back up. So we don't know whatever is going to happen, right? We look at what has happened, and then we say, well, historically, what type of pattern has a high probability of producing a profitable trade, right? So shorting this below this low is not a high probability pattern, right? Getting a correction bar, as explained, is a high probability pattern. Silver, right, got shellacked too. It was holding there, and down it went and came down, right, in the area of that pivot low right there. And so far, just jiggling around. And transports, which we always look at, so far holding. Right, so showing a little bit of relative strength there, a little silver lining in the bearish market. So we'll keep an eye on this. That weekly just looks like it's just begging for a reason to drop, run up, topping tail into resistance. The topping tail cleared those highs, came in, gap down. So keep an eye on this. We're just set an alert to be aware of the transports breaking that low. Set that up there. NQ is not anchored. Well, I hope that anchor is tightly secured in the imaginary, whatever it is, to hold it in place. And let's see what happens. All yours, Dan. SPX. SPX. Okay, SPX. I forgot. Sorry. Kind of up above the high of the red bar would be I would consider safe. And I'm not sure that there's anything safe yet to the bottom side until we see something more potent that could move up here this morning. Internals are getting into a bullish territory. This was a little bit lower yesterday, and we had that rally. Personally, I would like to see a little bit more of a move to the downside. I'd love to see this sentiment at least get under 1 through this lower band here, because it was just so bullish for so long. Well, they're buying these call options, and it was just a grinder until we got the momentum move. And so, here's the move down. And historically, what happens, what to look for, right? Something I would have covered in the video. But anyway, over the weekend. Historically, what to look for is what happens is you've got this low down here, right? Obviously, down below 200. I told you if it was to get down below or down around 300, that's going to be a buy setup, within a day or so. Anyway, what typically happens is even if this moves up a little bit today, typically, as it moves up, then as the next correction comes and it goes down, this makes a higher low, and you get a little bit of a divergence as far as what out there is showing relative strength. So it's the indicator or market internal gauge. What it's telling us when we see it make a higher low and the market is making a lower low is that there are stocks showing relative strength. Your job is to go find them. So that's what often happens. I mean, if it just goes down here to 300 and this is going down and sentiment comes anywhere in this area, right? Obviously, we're going to be looking for that buying opportunity for the Christmas end of year rally. So, alrighty, all yours. High of the red bar. What is it? I have to look. Well, it'll say right here. What's the high of the red bar? Looks like 3278.70. 3278.70. And the low is 3209. And this is the current bar. All yours, Dan.
All right, good morning. Yeah, we were talking about that a lot yesterday of wanting the flush out. That would be so much easier if we don't get the flush out and we, just bobble around. It's going to be harder. I mean, but the market doesn't care what we want. We got to take it one by one. Where's my chat? But the other comment I was saying when you were looking at IYT and other things, in terms of multiple time frames, there's so many just the climactic sell setups on the monthlies. There's IYT. You look at anything you want. That's a nasty 180 engulfing on the Qs. So, it's tougher. I'd like this to have a third retracement, and then with the weekly giving us a buy setup, and then daily our entry. IWM, look at that. That's a sell setup, even though it went more than 50%. Diamonds and spiders. It's made a new high, but still extended across the board. All right, all our opens are fine. If you have any questions about anything? Let's see here, KMB. I posted in Facebook group. Debbie found this one for me yesterday, and I said, yeah, it's right here on minor support. And even though it's in a downtrend here on the daily, this is where we're looking for the turn. So this is exactly what I was just referring to in the broader market indices, which we don't have. There's my buy setup on the weekly. Now the monthly is also a nasty engulfing with a price void. So am I expecting a new high? Absolutely not. But I don't care about that. It's just a swing trade. Jake, I know you like Shill. Gapping up here. It's a bullish pre-market that could turn out to be a day trade. Some bank is upgrading cruise ships. I think it was a foreign bank. I forget which one. I don't know what they know about cruising, but all three of them have bullish intraday. Yeah, the dailies are total mess, but intraday RCL, that's a bullish pre-market. Target's not big here. Here's CCL, garbage, and NCLH. They're garbage, but they could give you you know, a day trade and or zero DTE day across the board. So I'll be looking for those trades too. Kodak Black, trying to bottom, nothing to do now, but maybe in the next week he sets up. This thing, big gap to 314 way up here. That's a pro gap. It's going, I mean, look at it's a pro gap. It's ignoring however many weeks of data this is, but no setup right now. Sun W, these little things that went into the stratosphere from electric vehicle, I guess. No pattern. Yeah, Sun and Pola, I think we're ripping together. No pattern. SRI, no, that wasn't it. SIR, I forget. I posted one that went $1 to 46 in our Facebook group. 610. Yeah, that's a bullish gap, Mark. Sure, because it's right over this. Yeah, that looks fantastic. I'm gonna put that here. Yeah, that's a fantastic gap trade. So now I put them in a thumbnail, and we sit back and watch, see how it sets up. A graph here, oversold, support, gapping up. That's worth watching. Splunk was up in a weak market earlier. Markets recovered a little bit off their pre-market lows. No pattern. I got no interest in that. CBAT 372. It's gapping off the charts. I'm assuming it's either a Corona toy or another EV toy. That's what somebody told me, the new term, EV, electric vehicle. But there's nothing for me to do with it unless you're just find a day trade setup. AMX to run. It's in a, you know, that was a nasty upside shakeout, but I love the bullish engulfing reversal with a price void. Problem is it's gapping too big for me, and it's light volume to run, so I'm not sure how much of that is real. But you know the drill. Put it in a thumbnail, and let's see how it sets up. Air had earnings, no pattern. We'll come back to you. Shoal earnings, nasty downtrend. Poor steel. That made me look at X also. Just ugly breakout failures. Pen, secondary offering. That's kind of an M top there. Bearish engulfing retest. That would have been a beautiful call spread yesterday. If there was any juice there at 75. Nothing really to do with it now, except, you know, maybe a call spread for next week. Look at this 15-minute chart. That looks delicious. Putting that in the window on my other chart. So it's a gap. Look, it's gapping up to resistance right here and going sideways with a price void. 30-minute high. This looks fantastic. Target 184 to 186. Nice pre-market base right there. Teron, I just answered you on AMX. Did you hear me? I spoke 30 seconds about it. Are you listening? All right. DPHC, it came down hard and sloppy, but maybe 30-minute high just for a day trade. I would never swing this the way it came down in yesterday's topping tail, but I like Roku better. Roku 15-minute. Ali now on YouTube's asking about Roku. Yeah, Ali, you must have tuned in a few minutes late. I said I love it. It's a pullback in an uptrend, pre-market, gap in resistance and going sideways. So yeah, I already answered that. It looks great. Nathan, do you buy a call option? Nathan, we'll look at that, but any directional is a long option candidate. So I'll remember to do that with you since you're in the room. You know, the poor folks on YouTube, we cut them off at 9:30, so unless they're going to join our green room, which I don't know why they don't, then they have no idea how we trade these things in real time. But yeah, Roku, that's a number one. And your little mobile here, Mark, MOBL. Those are my two best day trade longs right now. Oh, one of you asked about Zoom. It could, but the problem with the Zoom day trade is you're swimming upstream. But you got a price void, so it could work on a shorter time frame. I'd rather Roku because I'm not swimming upstream as much because it's a pullback into a WRB, which is strength. Does that make sense? Comparing those two? JR is asking. All right, we got a couple others here. UBS, Nvidia. UBS. It's too far from the 20. It still looks lower, but you got this prior low. I mean, that's a damaged stock. Daily, weekly, monthly are damaged. It's a horrible, you know, you're getting on board momentum. Nvidia, we actually were long this and sold half at a profit and stopped out of half. Yeah, that's going back on the list. The reason it's going back on it, because it's a gap reversal. It's a 3-bar consolidation on support. That looks great. Yeah, I like that one a lot. I'm going to put that in the window. Yeah, that looks good. Thank you, YouTube. And let's see, YouTube's also asking about VKTX. VKTX. It's garbage. There's no pattern. It's in a downtrend, sell setup, wide range bar. We're pattern traders. There's nothing there. I like these other ones a lot better that I've been talking about. Parham, Sam's ZM was a short. But no, because it's a bullish gap at resistance and breaking out with a price void. So it's not a good short either. Why is Roku not bearish consolidation? Well, because it gapped to the concept of gapping to resistance and going sideways is strength. It's not consolidating, Parham. It would be consolidation, bearish consolidation, but look, it's already at my first target. Look at that. It's less than 1 minute. Exactly. 1 minute, we hit target. Told you that was my favorite long in the morning. And the stupid stock didn't want to wait for us. But Parham, that is the answer. The